Okay, so I've just come out of ceremony number 3, and I'm completely depleted. It's been a long day. We had the Sapo ceremony earlier, which was pretty depleting and emotional in itself. Started the day full of beans and fresh after having a day off from the ceremonies. We were given a day off yesterday and were able to eat and had a full night's sleep. But it's been a big day. It started off with the whole Sapo ceremonies, and it wasn't just our own. We were there for hours because most of the group had their ceremony, and it was very emotional. Everybody was having different experiences, and a lot of them very, very, very emotional ones. So it was quite draining in itself, and then plus my own one, which I described in a previous vlog. And then, we had other things after. I had basically a local massage, which was like absolute pain. Basically, it wasn't a soft, nice, gentle, relaxing massage. It was like a sports massage on steroids, basically. And then we had a plant ceremony, and then we had a sound bath, which was amazingly relaxing. But by the time we got to the Ayahuasca ceremony this evening, I was already pretty tired. So I had a higher dose today. They upped my dose again. So it's gone up progressively each evening. And I mean, it all started off pretty smoothly. After probably 45 minutes, I'd say, I started to drop into a bit of a trance, but it was kind of just on a certain level. And what I described earlier in the Sapo ceremony, and what I realized kind of has happened to me, is up until now I've not fully been able to immerse myself. I've had the first 2 ceremonies I could describe as seeing incredible things, and lots of insights and lots of learning and some absolutely beautiful and amazing visuals. But I was an observer. I was sat on the outside looking almost at a screen. So I was never at any point in the previous 2 ceremonies kind of immersed and having a, let's say, completely 3D. It was 3D. It was 3D, but it was looking at it from an angle. It was seeing it. It was as real and as clear as looking at anybody on any day. The things I had been seeing before. I'd seen entities the night before, the ceremony before, but I was observing. I wasn't immersed. It wasn't all surrounding me. And then in the Sapo ceremony, I found myself unable to fully take off and be blasted into the universe like it's described as being. I found myself kind of still within my body and tethered and trying to let go and trying to surrender, but unable to take off. So one of my intentions that I kind of realized after chatting with a few of the people before the ceremony was I kind of need to find the way of letting go. And I was kind of saying in my intentions, I was basically asking the plant medicine, Mother Ayahuasca, to kind of not throw me in, but just lead me in, because clearly I was ready for more, and I was ready to go deeper, and I was ready to fully immerse myself. And there's a part of me, that part that controls many aspects of my life and keeps me safe on a day-to-day basis. You can call it the ego state, not ego in terms of how people think of egos as being this kind of arrogant form of being, but in more of a psychology description of the ego, which is like this thing that just kind of is there to protect you, is there to kind of look out for you, even when sometimes you feel you don't need it and you don't want it and you want to kind of take the life jacket off, but it just won't. It's like so built in and conditioned from years and years and years that it kind of always thinks you're going to be doing some harm to yourself. And I think it's been that part of myself that's kept me pretty safe and in control in pretty much all situations I've been in. Even on the occasions I've drunk alcohol, there's always that inner voice, and there's always that part of me that keeps me from either blacking out or doing anything too silly or whatever. And it was that, I feel it is that's been kind of holding me back. So I was asking Mother Ayahuasca to almost have permission from my ego to kind of lead me in, so that I could feel the full immersed experience. And to start with, I found myself kind of stuck still there, stuck. It was good, it was nice. It wasn't as vivid, the kind of visually as some of the previous ceremonies, but it was kind of, I was kind of just in a semi-trance-like state. The time passed pretty quickly, and I was just kind of comfortable and not nauseous or anything, and just kind of there, with some semblance of mild enjoyment. And then quite quickly it came around that they asked if anybody wanted a second dose, a second cup, to which I volunteered and went forward and had another 20 ml, and then returned to my mat. And it just continued really in the same way. It didn't really make much difference. It was kind of more of the same. And then I kind of started to feel, I was feeling very tired and very depleted. And I remember, kind of talking to myself in my head, thinking, Jesus, this is, hard work, tiring. I could really do with kind of going now. I'm kind of over it, I remember I was thinking, I've taken quite a bit from the first few days, but I don't want to keep doing this. I just want to kind of relax, cut loose, and
grab my shampoo.
And just I was just kind of feeling pretty exhausted, and that's what I was telling myself as well. I said, you know what, you'll just wake up tomorrow different. This is okay. It's been not a bad experience tonight, and I probably will purge at some point, but as in I'll throw up at some point. And it's always quite late for me. Even the first two were pretty late in the evening, and I just thought, I'm not feeling like vomiting, but that may happen. But I was kind of feeling as if I'd had enough, kind of, and I could just do with some rest. I was starting to get a little bit of negativity about, what we're doing, and kind of in my head, as I was going through it, which is, that's part of the experience and part of life. It's not all rosy all of the time. Things go up and down, you know, and I'm getting to the point now that I recognize that, and I recognize I don't give too much credence to what I'm thinking or feeling in any one moment, especially if it's negative, because I know that when you can start to feel a certain way, if you start to feel a bit down about something, you know, I'm learning now that it just passes. So you just see it for what it is, and you recognize it, and you don't get too bummed out by it. And that's kind of what was going on. So, you know, the time was passing. It was getting pretty late now. You know, it was like pretty late. It felt as if people were coming down, and I still felt pretty, you know, like I could feel the medicine in me. I didn't feel as if I was coming down that much. But I didn't feel as if I was going up either. And one of the, I think it was the owner actually, asked the owner of the place who sits in with us, I think he asked how everybody was doing, and they try to get a bit of a feel for how the groups do in medicine-wise, so they know how much longer to go on, or what to introduce, what ikaros, like the songs, the shamans to introduce, and, you know, because they've all got these elements that they throw in, and they kind of it's a mixture between scripted but also very intuitive and very much reading the room. And I answered, I said, I still feel pretty much in it, and it was very quiet. I think everybody was still in it, so that was the answer in itself, you know. I'm getting bitten to hell out here. There's mosquitoes as I'm sat here under lights. So yeah, I could tell that maybe there was still there's still a kick left. So it was just carrying on, kind of more of the same. And I started to feel like I might throw up. So, and I was obviously wanting that, because each time it's happened, and they recommend that you know, if you can, that you do. You don't force it, but it's a good thing, because then you usually get a heightened experience afterwards, after the purging. So, you know, I was kind of hoping for that, but it wasn't coming, and it was getting later and later, and it seemed as if I was going to pass through the ceremony, a bit like the day before, the one before, that felt like I was going to pass through it and may actually not purge. And then suddenly, bam, I started purging, like big time, throwing up. But this, what I must add is, sorry, unlike the previous ceremony when that happened, and then suddenly psychedelia opened up and it just sucked me into this psychedelic experience. It had started to happen before I threw up. So one of the first things I remember, that I was kind of in this trance-like state, and then it felt like I was bitten by it. I thought I was bitten by a dog or something, some form of animal had just bitten me. And I just remember quickly, like, first of all I was like shocked, and then I was like, oh, I remember them saying when animals eat you, like snakes or something actually eats you, it's a good thing, don't be scared by any of that stuff. That's actually, you know, part of the rebirthing, and it's a positive thing. So I was kind of like, all right, so that's just happened, and that's good, that's fine. Just had my leg bitten off by a dog. and then it really started to kick off, you know. I started to be completely, now I was getting immersed, just what I was hoping for. I was being squeezed by all serpents, all snakes were all surrounded me, wrapped around me. The brightest colours you can ever imagine, you know, like the brightest neons. And they were just squeezing me, and as they started to squeeze me, then that was what brought on the vomiting, because it was like they were trying to squeeze out. They were trying to purge me. They were helping me, you know. So that started to happen, and then I started throwing up, and it was like the most pleasurable throwing up. It was just like, as I was doing it, I was kind of smiling and being sick and just thinking, oh, thank you, this is awesome. And it was the most psychedelic puking ever, like it was pitch black, but everything was in color, like what I was throwing up into the whatever container. It was just, everything was painted with colors, like everything coming out of me, everything surrounding me, the snakes squeezing me, but they were helping me. Again, there's no fear whatsoever. And then that was it then. I just got taken into like the most mind-blowing. I won't even be able to do it justice trying to explain it here. I can't do it. It's literally the most transformative, amazing experience of my life. And that sounds like, oh wow, he'd had a heavy drug-induced trip, good for him. But it was obviously, I say obviously, maybe it's not so obvious to the listener, but for me, it's obvious that it wasn't just that. It wasn't just like a trip, like your mind playing tricks and you're under the influence of something that's causing, it's way, way, way beyond that, because it was just lessons, but not through words, through just being shown everything. At one point, this voice came, like one of the staff started singing, the female staff, the most beautiful song, and her voice, and she was like like the deity of the feminine, and it just, I was just in awe, and I felt that the room was in awe as well, the other people, and I was just lying there, and she was purple, or kind of pinky purple, violet, I suppose, and she was kind of rising, and this is not like some cartoonish or some kind of, this was as clear as day. And then like from her feet were all snakes that were running out all over the room and kind of immersed into everyone, and all wrapped around all of us, connecting us all, connecting everything. And all I could feel was just appreciation and a real dawning on just how important the power of the female is, and how we all carry, it doesn't matter how masculine you think you are, it doesn't matter how alpha you think you are, that you carry a fair bit of female, and you need to tap into that, and you need to respect it, and you need to find the balance with that, because we've been taught growing up as men, as a society, particularly in Western society, that you need to eradicate any sense of femininity in yourself, because that's unmasculine, and that's not what men are, that's not what boys are. Everything was about being a man, even the saying, you're the man, it's all so pushed to be ultra masculine. And of course we are, there's various degrees of that. It doesn't mean that you're losing your masculinity. It doesn't mean that you're not a man. It doesn't mean that, there's some questioning over your sexuality. It's got nothing to do with sexuality. It's just to do with balance and just the way that we're made up, and how we're supposed to be made up, what we're supposed to be made of, and what we're supposed to respect and be able to communicate and understand. And it would influence how we would act in many situations, much of the time in a more appropriate manner, if men in particular were more in touch with the feminine and the feminine power. So there was that appreciation and understanding of that within ourselves, but also appreciation of women. And I was just thinking of the women in my life, and how I've just get it and continue to get it wrong. I was thinking of my daughters, and as great a dad as I try to be, I really do father them from a very, very masculine way, I'm pushing them to be, I don't know, kind of on the ball and successful, and not trying to push them too much, to be fair, but what I, because I'm aware of, I don't want to be pushing stuff on them. But I think my energy and most of the lessons I give and the way I am with them is probably overly masculine. And I was just thinking, I need to celebrate the fact that they're little, beautiful little girls. They're girls that are going to become women one day, and they're little queens. And I need to show them that doesn't need to just come from their mum. I need to show them that, and show them and understand it better, and understand ways of showing them, and showing my more feminine side. So, there was that. And I felt remorse as well, towards Danielle, for not being able to truly recognize and celebrate her female power. And and I found myself saying sorry, because despite everything, I don't think as much as I loved her, I don't think I was able to really appreciate that fully and show that. I don't think I was ever open enough to that, because my super kind of masculine way of being and thinking, my everything coming from my head rather than from my heart, everything being so pragmatic and practical, and treating her in a way that was all from a certain angle and a certain point of view, and I just wasn't in touch enough. And also thinking about my mum, and just what she's been through in her life, and what I know that she's been through in her childhood, and what a strong, amazing female that she is. And she's had to be so brave and so strong, and and just to be able to celebrate that. And I've got 4 sisters and my brother as well, and just to celebrate the females and the feminine in everyone. And this might sound bonkers what I'm saying, I don't know, maybe it resonate with some of you, probably certainly resonate with a lot of the women, I would imagine, but hopefully it'll resonate with some of the men as well, or at least give a bit of food for thought, because this isn't just kind of bizarre drug-influenced nonsense. I don't think, well, it's up to you. That if you think that's what it is, that's, I'm not telling anybody how to think. I'm just describing my own insights and realizations. So a lot of it, this very, very visual, very, very immersive experience was about the female tonight, and understanding that probably more than I've ever understood it, and seeing it. And it was eye-opening, to say the least. You know, it was because it was fully felt. It wasn't just like a verbal thing. It was all understood through feeling, and it was extremely powerful. And there were lots of other insights. Insights don't cut it, you know. Like somebody asked me afterwards. They said, "Did you get any more insights tonight?" Because, you know, we've had a lot of insights throughout the different ceremonies. And I said, the best way I can explain it, what happened tonight for me, was previously I had some insights, and those insights were like just little like drops falling into my mind, like realizations, like a little drop. Oh, yeah, I think I knew that, but now that's become clearer to me. Or, oh, I didn't see it from that angle. Oh, that's interesting. There's a lesson in that. And they were just like little drops entering my mind. Whereas tonight it was like I was just dropped in the ocean. You know, I just, you know, just fell into the ocean. And that's the difference between the previous ceremonies and tonight, because there was a multitude of things also, you know, about, it was just constant lesson. It was like I was just being spoken to. I was being spoken to non-verbally and taught by life itself, you know, by the spirit of life, if you like, by, call it Mother Ayahuasca, call it the medicine, call it Mother Nature, call it the universe, call it God, some people might say. Doesn't really matter. The label doesn't really matter. It's just the essence of really who we are. And the other major thing was, and I've heard this said before, but I really, really understood it tonight and felt, was that we're all part of the fabric of that. You know, they're not separate things. It's not like there's Mother Nature or whatever, the universe, God, whatever, and then there's us, and we're kind of, you know, worshipping that. No, we are that. We're all just tentacles or branches of that. We're all part of that. So they're one and the same. We are part of, you know, part of the divine, part of the universe. And it was just very much felt, very much realized, very much demonstrated. I'm going to be absolutely covered in bites tomorrow. So that was another big realization. And yeah, I could go on. There's wave after wave. This is almost 30 minutes. But yeah, I was just being taught about humility as well. And even though I've been lucky enough to start to get these major lessons and insights and have this crazy, amazing, immersive experience, not to become kind of like think that, oh, now you've got it, hey, all you guys, you need to get it as well. And it's just not like that. It's just nobody is better than anyone else. We're all just playing our roles and playing our parts, and that's it. And I'm, you know, I feel personally just grateful that I've been able to kind of go through this and get to this, and for all the kind of trauma or despair or upset at the loss of, say, my marriage and other things over the last few years. You know, it's led me to here. And it's apart from, you know, my worry about the girls, you know, not having their parents together and not wanting that, of course. Other than that, it doesn't really matter, you know, in the grand scheme of things. I felt that, you know, I've got love for Danielle and I'll always have love for her. And I've, you know, and that's okay, you know. I can let her go, and you know, she can be happy, and whatever that looks like, and it doesn't really change the fact that, you know, we had our time together and we had 2 beautiful kids together, and we will remain always in each other's lives because of our children, and no matter, you know, what happens, who I meet, who she meets, it doesn't change the fact that there's just that knowing and that understanding of love. And to be fair, Danielle's always told me that. She's always told me that, you know, and I've recognised it, but it's just difficult at times. But now it was just like, no, it's just very, very clear, very understood. And it's not something that has to be really wrestled with or questioned. It just is. So, yeah, lots and lots of amazing, powerful lessons, all the while being immersed in the fabric of the universe, essentially. It was like the veil was pulled back and you're just fully in it, fully in it, and all the connections. And it's not just a visual experience of colours, it is how it felt, how it was, the understanding, it was like a light being turned on, or something, just being given another sense. It was like being privy to something that was always there, but I just didn't know how to tap into. So now the challenge is going to be kind of integrating this into life, you know, whilst you're kind of doing your normal day-to-day stuff. When you get back home and getting stressed out about the normal things you get stressed out about, but trying to kind of keep the memory of this and the reminders, and keep this kind of in your thoughts and in your way of being, not for it to be like just some memory of an experience, but for it to be now an awakening and an understanding, and to do something with that knowledge. So that's what I will try to do. Anyway, there we go. That was a long explanation, and it doesn't even come close to covering it, but that's the best I can do. It's been a long night and I'm exhausted, so ciao for now. Good night.